Everybody can see and hear me. That's what it says.
Yeah, we're supposed to say something.
Everybody can see and hear me. Are we doing this? Welcome to a crossover episode of the Sandbox Gamers / Vactor Verse / Animation Fascination / and Rant to the Future podcast. It's a melding of universes, folks. It's a podcast where 5 vidgets meet to talk about mutants, pizza, and projectile vomiting. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your co-host with the most, WonderRob, coming at you live, actually, this time from Southern California. And on the line with me are 4 of my best friends in the metaverse. Myself, WonderRob, of course. Vactor's here somewhere. JeffW, the always angry JeffW the second. There he is over there. We've got Marc Vibert from the Animation Fascination podcast, and the man, the myth, the legend himself, Justin Gyorfi from Rant to the Future. What's up, dudes? Party dudes?
What's up, nerd?
We did it.
We did it.
Oh, yeah. All right, time to go home.
So, a little movie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out the 7th, if you count only theatrical releases, is in theaters now. We all saw it. Can you believe it? Some of us are bigger Turtle fans than others. But
I thought we were here to talk about Barbie.
Exactly. Exactly. Get out of my Mojo Dojo Casa house.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
All the time. Oh, wait. we forgot we're recording. Okay, so Vibert and Gyorfi, I need to tell you something. It's a little known secret that JeffW is always DTF. That stands for down to talk fun. Improvise here. Oh wait, that's what the script says. Uh-oh.
Rob is Ron Burgundy.
What's the deal with Airplane Peanuts? All right, so we're going to talk Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously, Mutant Mayhem. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We are going to spoil this movie. So if there's somebody out there who hasn't seen it and does not want to be spoiled, well, this is the wrong place for you. If you haven't seen it and you do want to be spoiled, I respect that. I respect your tenacity and your gumption, your grit, and your gall. So thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to all of our podcasts. Again, Sandbox Gamers, myself, JeffW, and Vactor, talking video games, video game news, and more every week. Animation Fascination has a fascination with animation, as you can guess, and Rant to the Future, where they're talking anything and everything that makes them so mad. Couple of Raphaels. So don't forget to subscribe to all of those. Thank you very much. All right, so let's get into it, folks. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is out. We've all seen it. Some of us more times than others. I think Vactor has seen it about 7 times now.
Point
He
2.
takes the cake. Now,
you got to explain that point too.
Okay, well, explain the point 2 then, Vactor.
So I took my son to his very first movie, his very first theatrical screening, and I thought he was going to be fascinated by the flashing lights on the big screen, but I was wrong because he basically did the same thing he does at home. He watched about 15 minutes of it, and then he got up and explored the theater. He went down to the bottom of the theater, across the theater, up to the back top of the theater, crossed over again, went back down, and then he tried to go in the middle, and I said, all right, we're not doing this. So I picked him up, and it was time to go. So I watched about 20 minutes before I had to take him out. But then I went back with my wife and watched it again. So that's the 2.2 times that I've seen it.
Well, my son, who I took, sat perfectly still. And his biggest concern the whole time was, Dad, where's the popcorn? Can we get more popcorn? I want more popcorn, please. This kid loves that popcorn. He also sat through Barbie, surprisingly, to which he said as he was walking out, my favorite part was when Ken's ruled the world. That's my boy. All right, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not to wait. Should we make it a Barbie podcast instead? I don't know.
I've actually
mentioned
not
it
seen
twice.
Barbie.
Oh, spoilers! The Kens rule the world. I'm sorry.
I've had the whole movie spoiled. I'm good.
Okay, Ken doesn't have a penis. That's the biggest plot point in the whole movie.
He has all the genitals.
He's got every single one of them. All right. So this round of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles takes a little bit of a departure from past Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles origin stories that we've seen. You've got your four boys, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and Mikey, of course, and their master, Splinter, living in the sewers. And the boys want nothing more than to just visit the real world and go to high school. They are set upon an adventure when they accidentally run into April O'Neil, a high school news reporter with a very interesting stomach problem, where they team up to get prom uncanceled from Eastman High and become real ninjas.
Don't forget to go to Laird's Pizza to explain it too.
Oh, that's right. There are some Easter eggs. You got your Laird Pizza and your Eastman High. Only the true fans, the real ones, picked up on those. My wife absolutely did not. What? Look, it says Eastman High, and she says shush, shush, shush at me in the movie.
Hush,
okay, so let's just do a little roundtable. I think it's fair to say, judging by our backgrounds and our personalities, and if anybody follows any of our podcasts, you probably know the answer to this already, but I'm just curious. What'd you boys think? Let's start with Vactor. Just give me a quick. Did you even like it?
Yes, I did. This was my second favorite film of 2023. The first being behind me and on my shirt, Across the Spider-Verse. But the second best movie of 2023 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to tell you why.
All right, so that's Mark 1 on the big board for liked it. How about you, Jeff W?
Yeah, I liked it. They had an appearance from MF Doom in the soundtrack, and MOP Annie Up was in the trailer and in the movie. Nobody here knows that. It was pretty good. I like
my
it.
mop. I know my mop. Gyorfi, what about you?
I think it's probably my number one pick for summer movie.
Hey,
gosh, wow! And
I put it above Spider-Verse, and yeah.
Hey, let's not get crazy now. Let's not get crazy.
No, man.
Did you forget about Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Contained story. No notes.
Right.
Loved it.
No notes. Loved it. Vibert, I almost called you Vactor. Vibert, what say you?
I really liked it as well. I brought my teenage son to go see the movie, and he enjoyed it a lot.
Did he also wander around the theater aimlessly?
Yeah, but that's for other reasons.
Was he your Mutant Ninja Turtle son too, or just teenage?
Just teenage. He might be a turtle. Who knows? But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. We've already kind of talked about both these movies too, but like right now, for me, my personal 3 favorite movies of the year are all kind of like tied on a level field currently at this point of the year. And it's Across the Spider-Verse, this film, and then Barbie. So,
Barbie.
Hey, you were pointing at Indiana Jones fedora there, so we know what your
right
favorite
there,
is.
right there.
Oh man,
right there.
That's a flamingo. That's
Flamingo.
that's a symbol in the swinger community.
That's an upside down pineapple.
I mean, Spider-Man.
I mean, so I've heard. I don't really know personally if it really is, but so I've heard. I also enjoyed Mutant Mayhem. Now, Vactor asked me an interesting question, and I'm gonna present it to you boys. He asked me, first thing he said, without spoiling it, where do you rank it in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie lineup? And at the time, just walking out of the theater, I said, I think I'm going to put it as number 2. Having slept on it and considered it, I still think it's number 2. But what put me into an existential crisis is when I was thinking, well, what's my number one? I always automatically go to the very first live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but part of me, you guys, really wants to go to Secret of the Ooze, and I still can't decide. But it's definitely my number 2 pick. As long as nobody says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 3, we're not going to have any sort of fights. Gyorfi, what does this rank in your power rankings of the Ninja Turtles movies?
I would have said probably second place behind Secret of the Ooze.
Ooh.
But
Okay.
I almost want to bump it up to first just because there was such a very different and youthful feel to it. It feels like they're supposed to be teens, which I don't think they've ever captured in any of the other movies.
Yes, I do want to circle back to that. Vactor, where do you rank this?
I would put it tied with the 1990 first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, which shout out to I lovely YouTube channel Geek the F Out, who's in the chat right now, who just watched the 1990 Turtles movie for the first time earlier this week. So
No kidding.
I do want to say that right now, both of these are tied as my favorite turtle movie. And for what Gyorfi said, the teenage aspect, focusing on that, making this a unique experience from all the other turtle movies, that raised it, along with the animation, raised it up on my list. But the classic 1991, there's so many quotables from that one. Rob and I quote the 1990 Turtles movie almost on a daily basis to each other. We used to work at Hollywood Video together. We would quote it in Hollywood Video, and now we do it on Discord to each other. So we're always quoting, actually 1 and 2, we're always quoting to each other.
Yeah. He's correct. We do that. Jeff W., I'm not positive you've seen all the Ninja Turtle movies, but in the in your experience, where do you put this?
Yeah, because most of them are ass, but
Wow.
yeah, for sure.
Whoa.
This one-
Whoa.
This is probably my second favorite behind the 1990 movie, and the only I'd probably put it number 1, but I grew up with the 1990 movie, so you
That
know
was the year you were born, Jeff.
yeah, 91, yeah, you know.
Oh, okay.
So that's the one I grew up with as a kid. That's the one I love Raph in that movie, and I love all of his scenes, you know. So that has a special place in my heart. But this one I think is, you know, I mean, it's clearly like above the rest for me, you know.
Jeff and I quote cricket to each other every day. We say cricket.
Yeah.
And that's all that needs to be said. Just cricket.
I'll say it unrelated. You'll ask me about something not even related, and I'll tell you got to know cricket. You know, we'll say it all the time. Yeah. So that's my favorite. But this is easy number 2 for me.
Very good. Vibert, what say you? Where's it rank in your list?
Oh man! All right. So definitely
he's on the spot.
We're getting started. You didn't expect this question, did you? That's why I gave it to you last.
I don't know. Like, I think part 2, like Secret of the Ooze, I liked a lot when I was a kid. So, and I haven't watched that like within the past year or so. So I don't want to give this too much recency bias, but I think it's definitely a contender for being like either number 1 or number 2 within the rankings of the turtle movies. Just because of like all of you said, because this one is able to give a feeling like not all of the other one, not especially not the like Michael Bay produced ones that we had.
Yeah, those are shit. Yeah,
those sweet 3D glasses.
Hey,
but
I will defend
yeah.
the Michael Bay second one.
Yeah, Out of the Shadows is a lot better than the first one, but I mean, yes, I would say that this one right now for me is just under Secret of the Ooze.
All right, that's fair.
Dang.
Now, going back to a point that was already brought up that I do want to talk about is how this iteration of Ninja Turtles really focuses on nailing that teenage aspect, you know, from not just with the name, but of course with the voice actors having actual teenage children voice our favorite foursome, the way they interact with each other, the way they interact with the modern world, and their concerns. You know, they're not concerned with being the best ninjas around the world. All they want to do is get a girlfriend, which is a little weird. Somebody's got to remind
Yeah.
Leonardo
Yeah.
that turtle penises are 3/4 the length of their body.
Yeah,
And
what
that's
kind of
not gonna work.
interspecies actions going on here? You know what I mean? What are we doing?
It's not going to work with April O'Neil. I'm sorry, but you know, it's fun to think about. I'll give you that one, Leo. It's fun to think about.
This is the first time we've seen April as a teenager, right? Gyorfi, every time before, she's always been like an adult.
I'm pretty sure
I don't
she's
know
a
if
teen
that's
in like
true.
the 2012 series,
Yeah, Gyorfi's right.
Yeah, yeah.
as well as possibly Rise. I haven't watched Rise that much.
Okay. It is a different like energy when you have like the original Turtles movie and original cartoon, we're seeing April as like this adult and she's trying to relate to these teenagers. Whereas when you have her on the same age and you have her on the same level, it like I say, it's just a different energy. But I think
Absolutely.
it works a lot better versus having all right, Casey Jones and April are adults and the Turtles are teenagers. But having the teenage voice actors, that one choice, I think whether it was Seth Rogen or whoever made that choice initially to say, all right, we're going to have these be actual teenagers. And every single decision after that, I think, shaped this movie from even the animation where they said that it's supposed to look like high school doodle, like you're drawing in your notebook in your high school and on the corners of your notebook. Every design choice and aspect, whether it was the misshapen heads of the people to the backgrounds and the street signs and things like that, all of those things I think made this movie unique and made it positive versus let's say the 2007 TMNT animated movie, which I just put on the other day after I got home from my 2.25 viewing of Mutant Mayhem. That movie, I feel like they're trying to go for like that traditional, if you want to call it Pixar animated look. And number one, it has not aged very well. Like 2007 CG versus 2023 CG, it just it's like, you know, going back to a PlayStation 2 game now when we're in the PlayStation 5 era. And
It's like
I was
going
like,
to
"Man,
Marvel
this-"
Studio graphics now.
Oh yeah. It's like this
Wow.
is
Shots
something
fired.
that we need a remake. We need a Red Dead Redemption remake of the 2007 version. But I think, like I said, this movie is so unique and it feels like a breath of fresh air versus the franchise I felt like was kind of getting stale with the Michael Bay films and with the previous versions that we saw at the theater. I think this is the perfect reboot and the perfect way to get new fans, not only us as the older fans that grew up with Turtles, but the newer fans to come in back into this franchise.
Yes, and especially if you go back and look at the original live action, you look at the Michael Bay, those two in particular, the teenage aspect is very lost in those.
They're grown adults. They do like cocaine in New
I-
York. You know what I mean?
Practically.
They're like
I would say that's a thing with TMNT up until 2012 in general.
Mhm.
Yes. Now, to me, and this might just be an aspect of, you know, being so young when the movie came out, the original Ninja Turtles movie, you tend to view everybody as an adult, despite
Mhm.
them being teenagers or slightly older than you. But, you know, things
Right.
that you quote unquote look up to just sort of have that adult feel to them from your perspective. And so the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 80s movies to me always seemed like adults. Of course, I didn't know any better. I was, you know, 10 years old when that movie came out or
Right.
so, maybe a little younger. And then especially with the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, who are 7 feet tall, ginormous muscles, bulletproof, The big green Shreks just walking around. The teenage aspect is way gone. And sure, they have their moments, Donatello and Mikey dancing in the lair in the 1980s, or excuse me, the 1990 movie. You've got the four turtles in the elevator sequence in the first Michael Bay movie.
Sequence was in the elevator.
But those moments are few and far between in those. And that's not necessarily saying that those movies are bad, but it's just, it really took that vision of Seth Rogen, who obviously built his career off being an awkward teenager and awkward teenage comedies. Really, I agree 100%. Invigorated a new life into that. And then also taking these kids who did the voices, and maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but in interviews, Seth Rogen has been real adamant, or excuse me, was real adamant about making sure that these teenagers all recorded their lines together instead of static recordings, in separate booths, because he wanted them to play off each other. He wanted them to have chemistry. He wanted the line readings to reflect that. And in the Turtles' body language, even in the movie, when they're talking about a big nigga cheese, and they're just being like real teenagers where they don't make any sense, and you're getting annoyed, and you're like, what are you guys even talking about? Just like every teenager I've ever met in my entire life as an adult. Like, it was perfect.
I was not to cut you off, Rob, but I was talking to Vactor in the car on the way home. It felt like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, right? Like, to me, like when I first saw him, I was like, all right, the voice matches, the age, like he doesn't look like a 30-year-old just out of college guy. Like he looks age appropriate, like high schooler, and like the voice and everything. That's what this felt like to me. Like it felt like you said they were leaning into the teenage part of that, the way they make them sound. But that's like the closest thing I can compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and one of us in this group is a parent of an actual teenager, and it's not me, it's Jeff W. Sorry, Jeff. Spoiled it. Marc, I think you've got the most experience with teenagers. How did that aspect really present itself to you?
I would say it was pretty spot on, especially the stuff with Donatello, because as far as Donatello goes, he was the closest to basically my son. Donatello is super into anime in the movie, is making references to Attack on Titan, and he was making some little tiny references and stuff in there that I wasn't catching, but I looked over and caught my son smiling at the
JoJo hoodie.
Yeah, the JoJo hoodie. My son's 16th birthday party theme was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is an anime for people that might not know what it is.
Now, real quick, what is anime?
It's one of them Japanese cartoonamajiggers.
I'm sorry, I'm being such a baka right now. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, what Gyorfi said. It's basically animation that's traditionally done in Japan.
I know. I'm just new boot goofing, Marc.
Nice. But yeah, there's even Donatello does I'm gonna mispronounce the way you say it because he always corrects me the way I say it with the Naruto run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Donatello runs towards.
Oh,
yeah.
Do they do the Naruto run?
Yeah, Donatello runs to the van at one point and does that right after they come up with the.
That makes
spoilers
sense,
with the plan for near the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and the way that they're acting, the way that they even enjoyed the Ferris Bueller movie a lot. My son enjoys the movie so much that he has a Detroit Red Wings jersey, a pair of khakis that he'll wear together because he identifies with Cameron so much from that movie, which I hope in not too many respects, because Cameron's dad in Ferris Bueller is not a cool dude. So I hope he doesn't identify with all of those aspects of Cameron from the Ferris Bueller movie, but
your son's always out there hijacking parades. If I've said it before, I've said it again. Stop it!
Well, when you're a teenager, it's legal to do that.
Yeah. Well, good to know. All right. Now, this is, again, I believe, the 7th iteration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on film, not including your straight-to-video sort of things. or made for TV movies. Now, of course, with it being the 7th iteration, you can't tell the same story over and over, right? You can't tell the same origin story over and over. You got to mix it up a little bit. Otherwise, why make a movie? And so, as the second biggest Ninja Turtles fan in this chat after me, Gyorfi, I'm really curious what your take was on this updated origin story for the Ninja Turtles. Of course, Splinter deciding to teach them martial arts as self-defense from the human world rather than a traditional story.
I really like the whole Splinter stuff to it, everything about it. I like even that the origin for Splinter pays off in the end too, with his ability to speak cockroach and fondness of cockroaches. But like the justification for why he's older than the turtles too is like, oh, I was already an older rat, so of course I grew up older from the mutated older. It just makes sense.
That was a great.
I do like it all being tied to Baxter Stockman instead of like just going straight Utrom or anything else like that. Even though spoilers, there's Easter eggs galore for Utrom and Krang all up in this movie without them telling you. And
well, number one, Maya Rudolph, her character, I think Cynthia Utrom is her name. And
but then like you don't see anything besides like design wise is perfect for a replica of the big baby robot suit and yeah,
that was great.
The origin itself and having Splinter and Superfly tie in too with like reasonings and motivations why they wanted why he's the bad guy, why Splinter taught them ninja and self-defense. Those motivations combining to I felt really perfect.
And that actually reminds me a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man. The way that for the regular 616 Spider-Man, he was introduced in the 60s, and then throughout from the 60s till the 90s and 2000s, just random villains were showing up. And all right, there's a octopus guy. All right, there's a Green Goblin. There, and there's the Rhino, and they're all just random people because that's how they were coming up at the time. All right, let's just think of. So I was effing Jack Cubby's wife, and then I came up with the Rhino. So that's a reference for Rob.
So that's an X-Play reference, everybody.
They were piecemealing the villains, but then when Ultimate Spider-Man came along, they were like, Brian Michael Bendis in 2000 was like, all right, let's connect everything to Oscorp. So Dr. Octopus worked at Oscorp, like Venom, all of these things were tied in. That's how this Turtles movie made me feel, Gyorfi, with that connection to Baxter Stockman, like everything, all of the mutants, all the villains and sidekicks or other heroes characters, instead of them being like, all right, Wingnut is from outer space and he came down. It's like they're all different mutant versions of these different animals. So I thought that was an interesting take, and just like with Ultimate Spider-Man, like it modernized it.
Right.
I even
now, speaking of the bad guys.
Oh
yes. No,
I
continue.
Speaking of the bad guys, with the like Utrom TCRI villains there, I thought the opening we were going to be set up Shredder there, even from the main guy there that gets his eye scratched, and then that didn't happen, but it is set up. There still is set up for spoilers for Shredder in this movie.
Yes. Now, what do you think, Gyorfi, of a Ninja Turtles movie without Shredder in it altogether? Because he's the equivalent to the Joker everybody expects, in a Batman movie or Dr. Octopus or Green Goblin in a Spider-Man movie. Just a Ninja Turtles movie, and I think we already know the answer, need Shredder to be successful?
No. I think having Shredder be outside of this movie as the villains or as the main villain was a great idea. I think it was a breath of fresh air and an honest break, because there is more to the Turtleverse than just Shredder, and them tackling that just allows you to then to build to that, so that you have more heartbreak and devastation when you get introduced to it. Shredder can be the Empire Strikes Back of this TMNT.
Excellent. Now we got tons of Turt villains in this movie. Obviously, you got your classics, Bebop and Rocksteady, present and accounted for. You got your Leatherhead, Wingnut. Let's see who else. Superfly we talked about. Mondo Gecko was there, although he's not a villain traditionally. Ray Fillet, Genghis Frog, Scumbug, Jeff W. Who was your favorite supporting mutant character?
Who was Naja? Which one? Who is that? The Wingnut?
that was
Is that
Wingnut.
the bat?
That's Wingnut.
Yeah, that's the best one. Fuck the rest.
Oh, damn.
We love Naja from
Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows. That was my favorite. I leaned over to Vactor and I pointed her out in the movie. That's how much I love her. That's
I
the
figured you would have
best.
done that with Mr. Beast.
Mr.
Yeah,
Beast.
The random New York City goer.
I didn't recognize him. I didn't
I
even
didn't
know he was in
recognize.
it.
Yeah, Who is
I just saw that his name in the credits said it said like New York City, like New Times Square person.
They should have him giving money to poor people, and then I would have known
Wow.
who he was. Yes.
Wow. My favorite, by far, stole the show. Your boy Mondo Gecko was the best. My wife, actually, every time he said anything, anytime he said anything, my wife was LOLing in her seat. Now, she thought it was actually Andy Samberg doing the voice. And then when the credits rolled and it said Paul Rudd, she said, "What? That was Paul Rudd?" But Mondo Gecko was my favorite joke with him in the whole movie is when they're listening to oh gosh, I can't remember the song. And you get real high and high. What's going on? When he said that lyric, what's going on? As he was flying out of the window. That one hit me right here. Laughed and laughed and laughed. I want to hear your boys' favorite supporting characters. Tell me right now. Go. Any one of you.
I already said Wingnut, so one of you others got to go.
All right, let Mark. Who's your favorite supporting character in this?
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, I liked Wingnut a lot, but I did like Mondo Gecko. I really liked Rose Byrne as Leatherface.
Leatherhead.
Sorry, yeah.
Leatherface is a whole.
Leatherhead. Leatherhead. Yeah, Gyorfi and I were talking about how we liked how she like fully like leaned into her Aussie nationality in it, and like. But I thought that was really.
At the end, she's like, "You want a blooming onion?"
Yeah. But yeah, Paul Rudd, like you guys said, was great as Mondo Gecko. Even like Post Malone as Ray Fillet, I thought was pretty funny in the movie too. So,
what about you, Vactor? Who stuck with you? Who were you quoting when you left the movie?
Mine was Paul Rudd. Also, Paul Rudd is just funny in general, and I don't think I've ever seen him in something and not liked him. And also, I was a Mondo Gecko fan back in the original cartoon just because he had a skateboard and he had a roller skate on his tail. So he was one of my favorite action figures as a kid. So when I saw this version of him and just the Paul Ruddness of it, I said, yeah, this is my favorite guy. And Hannibal's good too. I also like Hannibal Buress, but Genghis Frog doesn't have a whole lot to do besides lick his own eye.
Yeah, I didn't even really recognize Hannibal Buress as the voice actor until the credits, just because he didn't really do much. You're right. Gyorfi, who's your favorite? Who stuck with you?
So I was really happy with them doing my boy Mondo Gecko right. I loved our Leatherhead, but Ray Fillet. I really enjoyed Ray Fillet way too much.
When he tells him if I want to listen to some sad shit, I'd go listen to John Legend. That was so good. Vactor was next to me. I was dying laughing at that line.
He was. And I gotta say, the reason why Superfly worked for me is that it's Ice Cube. So
Yeah, there's no
I'm watching
hiding.
the
It's like
movie.
Ice Cube.
Yeah, he's just doing his regular voice.
Censored though. He should have said motherfucker
Yeah,
a
right.
couple
He
times
says
in it.
he
Yeah.
turns things into like, "Hey, get them fools." But what made me laugh, I was laughing throughout the movie, was I'm imagining Ice Cube saying these lines, and like he even has like a 6 a.m, police at my door. Like
Oh yeah.
there's music quotes to it, and that made me laugh. Knowing that it's Ice Cube as Superfly just made me laugh. So I thought the whole cast from top to bottom was good in this, and especially the teenagers themselves.
Yeah, and the
I
music.
was
Continue, Gyorfi.
I was actually going to talk about music quickly.
Let's go.
I was
Me
a
and you,
little dis-
Gyorfi.
I
We're
was
right
just
here, buddy.
gonna say I was a little disappointed that they didn't have like Curtis Mayfield's Superfly when Superfly came out.
I thought,
But they had-
I thought he was gonna have that.
But that's for us old heads, I guess. On like,
Yeah, you wouldn't know, Jeff. It's for us old heads.
Jordan, do you think
I
he
had sort of-
survived at the end?
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
well, we see him at the end as a fly.
yeah, he's a little
That's
baby
him?
fly. Yeah,
That's
you've seen the movie the
Superfly.
most.
That's heavily implied.
How many times
Yes.
did you fall asleep when you saw them?
No,
Yeah,
no. This
I think
isn't like
7.2
this
times.
No, this isn't like Mark watching Justice League Warworld and not realizing that Lobo was in the movie. A huge
Mark, got
character in the movie.
Word up, Mark. Didn't know about Lobo.
Yeah. Which one of these was a good movie, though?
Real quick, who's Lobo?
Your mom.
Wolverine.
Wow. Wow. How do you boot
Lobo is
people
the
from this
main
chat?
man.
Real quick though about the music. This is fuck all those other soundtracks. Ninja Rap is trash. I don't care.
Jeff, hold on.
Hold on, no, let me finish. This is if you're gonna do New York rap, right? Like that is what the era is. That's what this era is known for. They had the best possible music. I mean, ODB, MF Doom, Tribe, Naughty by Nature, Busta, Vactor. You know all these. All of these are legendary New York music groups like De La Soul. Like you just had like this is what like this like the Turtles like it feels so like hip hop inspired anyway, like with the way they present it, maybe not the origins of it, but like it felt like the perfect, like these are supposed to be kids in the street in New York City, and this is what they'd be listening to, right? Like this is like honestly, like I think is the best soundtrack that I've seen in any of the Turtles movies. Not only because I love the music, but also because I think it actually is what kids listen to in New York, especially of the era, right?
My only thing is I'm surprised that we didn't have a Run the Jewels in there, just because
you're right.
Seth Rogen's been putting them in everything he produces.
Mm-hmm.
And I said when the trailer dropped, I'm just like, I can't wait to see what Run the Jewels song is in the cake scene.
Right. And they seem like they'd be in, this is like, this movie is alternative enough that they would be able to make it like they're not gonna like hide Run the Jewels from this soundtrack. So yeah, I agree.
No.
It would have been nice, I think, to have them in here.
I mean, like
Really?
Blockbuster Nights probably could have fit in there in like that fight scene at some point.
Yeah. Show me another movie of a Ninja Turtles movie with Gangstar on the soundtrack, and then we'll talk. But fuck all those other movies soundtracks. All right, that's where I'm at with this.
Oh my god, my man hasn't heard TURTLE power.
I do like that too, but
That's a great
Come
song.
on.
I do like
Now-
that too, but come on.
That's the one thing I remember from seeing the 1990 movie in theater. Like I don't remember the
Yes,
experience, but I
remember that,
remember
Mm.
standing in the theater during the credits because I liked the song. And my mom was like, "Let's go," and I'm like, "Man, it is song, man." Anyway, also Jeff just says things. He knows he's riling me up by saying Ninja Rap is bad. So I don't believe that's his real opinion. He's just riling me up. Ninja Rap is the
Vanilla Ice
second
sucks.
best song. Well, no, I don't disagree with you. It's the second best song in the Ninja Turtles original trilogy after TURTLE Power, and I would go so far as
it
to
has its
say
place.
it's in the top 2 Vanilla Ice songs of all time.
All right.
I would even argue it's the top 1 Vanilla Ice song of all
Yeah,
time.
Gyorfi, he gets
Yeah.
it. Oh, I'm so mad right now.
I love that
Okay.
when they brought him back for the Kraft dinner or mac and cheese commercial
Oh yeah.
for the TMNT.
Was it-
Mhm.
Was that a
back
Super
in,
Bowl?
like 2012.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
see
I
that.
think so. So
It's sports, Trent. You wouldn't know.
really quick, when we're talking about the music, the scene from the movie that like sticks in my head the most still is it's that scene that's like the side scrolling like homage to the movie Old Boy, where it's just like cycling through each of the turtles as you hear like No Diggity play to that. And it's just like I wish I could watch that scene over and over again, just because.
You're gonna have to go
What I
in
like
there
about
and bootleg it.
Yeah, I'll bootleg it real quick, Mark. Hold on, I'll get you the file. It's all right. It'll be just a minute.
what I like about that scene is they're cycling between the turtles, and they're showing each one of them being confident in their fighting, and that's the only time in the whole movie I think that you're seeing them being confident. And when I first watched the movie, my very first watch through, I think I did say to Jeff, the ninja part of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was lacking in this one. The second, my point 2 and my second viewing of it, I was on board more for, hey, this is about, we're focusing on the teenage part. This is their, origin story. Because like every other time we see them for the first time, like the very first introduction to the turtles, they're already ninja masters. Like they've been 15 years training. This one I felt like they've been training, but they're not at the same level because Splinter is not the same teacher that he was in the other ones. So I thought the ninja part of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles we're going to see more in the next version, but nobody has said it. I think my favorite scene in this entire movie was the Splinter Jackie Chan homage, that it looks like it's a Jackie Chan fight scene where he's using chairs, he's using all different kind of objects. And I also liked when they were showing the learning montage, when they were learning from YouTube and VHS tapes and stuff. They showed clips of old Jackie Chan movies. So the Jackie Chan-ness of this, not only did he do a great job as Splinter, the voice acting part of it, but I think them having that background of Jackie Chan to call upon was one of my favorite aspects of the movie.
That
Good
was
second
something
animated movie with Seth Rogen and Jackie Chan with martial arts.
Yes, the first one being that one where he played a wiener.
Yes.
Remember? Yes. Now this movie's already been greenlit for a sequel before it
And a
came out,
spin-off series.
and yes, an animated series. My boy, my little 4-year-old, after we left the movie, immediately was asking me when is the next one coming out, and I had to explain to him probably not for another 2 or 3 years, maybe more. And the concept of time and patience is something that is beyond my 4-year-old right now. So we took him home and I showed him the original 1980s Ninja Turtle series, and he's been watching it. He's been enjoying that series a lot. I'm really curious, Mark, since you are the expert in animation, just in general, do you think for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series based off of this movie that they can adapt that art style and have it be good for a weekly Ninja Turtles show, or should they come up with a new, like have it be completely hand drawn? For example, like don't ask me how I know this, but the Trolls movies are in 3D and the Trolls animated show is hand drawn. Okay, I just know that for a fact. What do you think, Mark?
I I think I had actually already saw that for the Paramount Plus series that they're doing. That's going to be kind of like the bridge series between Mutant Mayhem and then whatever they end up titling the sequel to this.
Mhm.
Is that one is going to be like a more traditional, like hand-drawn animated show. But I think they also said it's going to be like more of like a mixed medium type thing too, where like, you know, like how sometimes like within this movie, like it would go to like them like kind of having like flashes of like using their imagination for like whatever plan they're gonna like do or stuff like that. It looked like stuff that was like drawn out in crayon and stuff like that. They're gonna like still use that with like mixed kind of like into the series itself too.
Excellent. I'm really curious to see if they can take this lightning in a bottle and put it in another bottle for a TV show, because I feel like everything just lined up perfectly for this. You had the right the right vision behind the show, the right voice actors, the right writing, the right chemistry between everybody. Everything was just a combustible Edison and really blew up in the right way for this movie. And I'm super interested in seeing if this is a thing that can translate to an animated show, a weekly animated show where it's not just, 90 minutes of a story. They're going to have to come up with 6 hours of a story, or 12 22-minute stories, or however they do it. But only time will tell, because obviously we're in a WGA strike, a SAG strike. Probably won't see this for quite some time, but it is something to look forward to. Let's get your closing thoughts. We've been going for a little bit. Yes.
Just on the last bit with the animation, I know if you follow some of the animators on their Twitter or X or Threads or whatever they're on these days, they've been actually posting some of the concept arts for the animation series. And I sent it to Vactor and Marc just now as pizza box opening one. And it looks quite good on like creating the 3D into a flat 2D for the art. But I was talking with Vactor too on this when just after seeing the movie, and I was pitching it to him like why not do something like a Diary of a Wimpy Kid style thing, where they have the art be the sketchbook art of their fantasies kind of thing, and them being retelling the stories, and then you maybe frame it within like a 3D 3D art style of bookends. And then you do it like Smallville Freak of the Week, where you have the other mutants having to deal with a conflict that also ties into a school conflict, and bam, you have a whole story.
I love it. I want
it now. Give it to me.
Give it now. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's get closing thoughts. Again, I really enjoyed this movie. It's breathing in the new life, the new fresh air to this franchise, which I don't want to say is aging or in some sort of dire need for a reboot, because we get a reboot of this series, every 3 years or so. But this is a very interesting take, and I enjoyed it. Certainly enjoyed the toys. They're back there somewhere. What do you guys think? Give me your closing thoughts.
Well, I wanted to actually ask real quick, because
no questions. Okay, fine.
I think I told you guys this off mic. I have been a Michelangelo fan from day one. That's always been my favorite character. That's always been the one I identified with. You can look at my Halloween pictures in 1990, and I've got orange bandana and nunchucks. So I've always been a Mikey guy. When I left this movie, I said I identified with Donatello more. He was my favorite character, and for the reasons that Marc said earlier, he was an anime guy and he was a technology guy. He was the only one that had his laptop. Everybody else was on their phones. He was on his laptop, and my wife turned to me. She's like, "That's you. That's you." So I this is the first time I've ever had that experience where every turtle medium I've ever watched or, experienced, video games, whatever, it's always been Michelangelo. And I was curious if any of you guys had a similar experience, or did you come away with it? Yeah, my favorite guy is still my favorite guy.
Great question. My guy was and always will be Donnie. I've been a Donnie fan true and through, years and years, for all the same reasons you just said. Love me some Donnie. What about
He
you
does
boys?
machines.
I went in there for Michelangelo, and I came out there loving Michelangelo even more. He's fun. He feels like he should be right for Michelangelo. Hell, I even like that. Like his outfit that he has picked out, kind of looks like Future Kenny from the COVID special. So
Oh
I enjoyed that.
Nice.
I'd say for me, it'd normally be Raphael, but he didn't tell anybody to go suck a fat one in this movie, so I was a little disappointed. I need him to a little more attitude. I need him to be, a little more New York. You know what I mean. So I'd say I was a little disappointed in that, but Raph is he's still my guy.
What about you, Mark?
So, like Vactor was saying, like while I was growing up, like my favorite turtle was always Michelangelo. But as I've gotten older, my favorite turtle has now become Donatello. So, yeah. And in this movie, Donatello was my favorite as well. It's just because I identified with him a little bit more in the movie. I like, as we're talking about it too, is that I really liked all of these voice actors, or the actors that they had for Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raphael, with like Micah Abbey was Donatello, Shimon Brown Jr. was Michelangelo, Nicholas Cantu was Leonardo, or
Nardo.
It could be Leonardo too, and then Brady Noon as Raphael. And I knew Brady Noon from the Mighty Ducks Game Changers Disney Plus show, because he was like the main character of that. So it was cool to see him or hear him in this as Raphael. But I thought they all did a really good job as like their characters. And I thought Ao, I don't want to butcher her last name, but Ida Berry as April was really good in the movie too. So I liked all of that, like kind of the main like turtle cast as well with her. I thought they all did a really great job in the movie.
Excellent. Now, before we leave, Mark presented us all with a BuzzFeed quiz. Which Ninja Turtle are you? Or Ninja Turtle character, I should say. And we all took it at his request, and he has all the answers. And we're going to find out right now which Ninja Turtles or Ninja Turtle characters we all are. And we'll decide how accurate these things are. So, Mark, take it away. Tell them.
Okay, so let me set this up. So the first one was, let's see, bring this for you. Here we go. So I'll just do mine first really quick. So the first one was me. I ended up getting Leonardo.
Nardo.
Somebody by the name of her. Let me see.
He doesn't know.
Well, I'm trying to remember who, because you guys
he already
Such a
forgot
Nardo
us.
thing to do.
So Rob also
Who would
got
want to be
Leonardo.
Nardo?
Rob also got Leonardo.
Oh, no. I got Nardo.
What a nerd. What a
Hey,
nerd.
it says right here, fiercely protective of your loved ones, and I'm a natural born leader and always advocating for something or taking on a new challenge, and that I'm inspiring to watch. So, yeah, I think I am a Nardo, Jeff.
Hell yeah. And then Vactor and Jeef both got Raphael. And
Vactor did. You know what it was? Vactor chose the rap song on that list. That's what boosted him into.
No,
I
I
don't know,
chose
man.
Bruno Mars. Jeff.
Yes, let's see what it had to say about Raphael.
Superfly.
Where's that RAF graphic? Where's the RAF graph?
There it is.
The
I want to
Raffic?
see it. It says you're progressive, independent, and sometimes rebellious. Well, that's a Jeff W to a T right there. Different and standing out from the rest, but you teach people that it's okay to march to, I'm assuming it says beat of a different drummer, and that is that's Jeff all the way, baby.
And then Gyorfi got He was the one that didn't have to share a turtle with everybody else.
I wouldn't want to.
There you go.
Wow.
Whoa.
Boot him. Boot him.
Did he manipulate the survey?
The algorithm, yeah.
How many times did you take the test? Come on.
I took it a total of 1 time.
Nope, wrong. Wrong.
He
I
got
need to do it
Venus de
again.
Milo.
It's Jenica.
Where's this graphic,
Okay.
Mark? I want to see it.
Hold on, I gotta open it. Hold on.
Oh wow.
Mark's
Bam.
gonna pull some joke. It's gonna be it's gonna be something
It's gonna be
way out of
Splinter.
left field. Isn't it?
Bam.
It's gonna be one of the turtles from the
Nardo.
Ninja Turtles Power Rangers crossover.
Hey man, I really like the TMNT Power Rangers crossover. The second
Oh,
one,
you know
especially.
what? That's a good point, Gyorfi. I was going to bring up. It's interesting that the turtles have lasted for 30 plus years, and
Almost 40.
at this point, you know, they're kind of like Batman. They're flexible. They can change with the times. Power Rangers the same way. It's something that we grew up with in our youth, and here we are trying to pass it down to the next generation, and it still is relevant today. So I think a lot of these franchises is interesting when they're able to transition and still be relevant and interesting for the next generation.
All right.
Oh, he got
looks like
Mikey.
He got Mikey.
Yeah.
That and the puke stuff is my only criticism, says Comic Binge. Well, I don't think puking was part of the quiz. Well, just me. All right.
That's Peter.
Let's see. Seth Rogen and Ice Cube matched and agreed with their results for the same reason. Oh, that doesn't have the characteristics.
Yeah,
well, I
it
can
doesn't.
tell. Well, I know for a fact that Gyorfi is a party dude, and so I can
That's right.
say confidently that of course he's Mikey. Obviously.
It says Michelangelo. You got Michelangelo. You're witty, creative, and very social. Like Michelangelo, you like to have good time and have a unique ability to lighten the mood in any situation. Sometimes people might misinterpret your playfulness as a lack of care or interest, but deep down you take things very seriously and are always there when it's time to show up.
That's
Perfect.
Gyorfi.
Perfect.
Mikey.
All right, I think that's going to do it, everybody, for this episode, this crossover episode of the Sandbox Gamers, Vactor Verse, Animation Fascination podcast, and Rant to the Future. You can find all of us anywhere and everywhere you get your podcast. All you got to do is a little searchy search. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes of wherever you're watching this on the Sandbox Gamers, YouTube, Vactor Verse, Animation, Rant to the Future, if it has one. I don't really know. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank Marc, Vactor, the Beef himself, Gyorfi, and the always angry, the always DTF, JeffW, for being here. I've been your co-host, WonderRob, and I'm going to leave you with this. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. GG, everybody. GG.
Bye.
GG.
GG, everybody. We're still going, but I already ended the show.
All right, and
This is all bonus.
this is just extra until
This is
now.
extras for the real fans.
Thanks. Have a beautiful time.
Yeah.